Thank you, friends. Shabbat Shalom, and greetings to you all. Once again, special holidays are almost upon us. We have both Canada's and the United States' celebrations of their existence, that is, birthdays, on the 1st and on the 4th of July. So before we meet again, those dates will be upon us. Celebrate them, enjoy them, honor them for what they stand for. Happy birthday. May there be many more. At one time, the world looked to these two bastions of freedom for leadership and as an example. Let's hope that happens again soon. The world's gone a little bit cockeyed lately, but we all hope it returns to normal, whatever normal happens to be. Now, we talked about how the human soul has those three internal elements, the nefesh, the ruach, and the neshama, uniting our body, mind, and soul. Well, countries are no different. They have charts that can be read based on their birth dates and times, as do we all. They have souls also. So let's hope for health and renewal for the souls of these two great countries. They celebrate the diversity of views and the free expression of artistic endeavors, all helping elevate us as a species. And I got a preliminary glimpse into the ketubah for Corey and Sasha, and it is a beautiful artistic piece of work that highlights talent and generosity, as does our dear friend Dave, who made a beautiful Star of David from iron sculpture for the Spiritual Center, which we were able to get mounted this week. Remember, friends, every one of you is gifted, is intelligent, is talented. Sometimes we just get glimpses that, those things exist in us, but we all feel those things at times. It's something we feel when we come together every week, as we do, as a collective consciousness of seekers showing faith. Any and all faith, love, any and all love. As a community, a chavur, a fellowship, expressing our nature of kindness, compassion, thoughts, feelings, hopes, dreams, and wishes, unites us all in this community house of spirit, Beth Ruach, sharing and bringing light, keeping fear at bay, and there's plenty of fear around these days. So once again, please do go ahead and invite everybody, physically, digitally, psychically, emotionally, or spiritually, to gather and share from Psalm 133, the Hine Matov. Come together. Hine Matov. Shevet Tehim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov. How good and how pleasant it is for brothers and sisters together. Community. 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 Together. Let's all spread love, goodwill, and fellowship to the world. Let's all do it together, my friends. Remember, this is your setting aside just a little bit of your sacred time in your sacred space to honor and converse with whoever, whatever you happen to believe in. We all believe in something. It's part of your kavanah, your intention that you put out to the universe. It is your goodwill. Let's take some time now. Let's send some of that goodwill, some light and the healing that goes with it, out to whoever you know that needs it. Healing and renewal for everybody. It floats through space, finding those in need, so send it out. For those you know and for the souls and spirits of everybody you love, so think of whoever that needs healing and renewal and love, or just plain goodwill. Focus on them, call their names. It's not just for people. It's for our pets, it's for the earth, it is the healing of the world, the tikkun olam. It's part of our spiritual genetic makeup. We have to help heal the world. And it needs more healing every day. It's not our job for us to complete. It is ongoing. It always has been, but we have to continue to do our part. Every one of us must do our part. And part of that healing is when we send thoughts and energy for health and renewal and goodwill for everybody. They don't have to be sick. It's for those in our hearts and our minds, for Tom and Yasmina, for Claudia, for Marco, Marianne, for Kay, for Dave, for Connie, for Kathleen and Ken, for Adrian and Frank, for Jim, for Mary and Ivan and Matt, for Kevin, for Anne, for the builder, for the bee. Friends, it is the kindness, the healing wishes. It is the goodwill and love we all send out. It just circles the world, finding those in need. So thank you, each of you, for all you do, for all you care. Because the world is a world of spirit, and spirit, my friends, never dies. Me, Shabbat, Avotenu, Bakor HaBracha, Limotenu, may the source of strength bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage. Make our lives a blessing. The renewal of body. The renewal of spirit. Let us say, Amen. Let us all have our spirits renewed. This is the great prayer for healing, which we call upon God to heal as He's healed before. Mishaberach, may He who blessed, because all healing is a blessing. Let's all send and receive healing and renewal energy in our efforts to love, to share, to care, to grow. Now, I love this week's reading. It actually comes at a perfect time, and it really shines a light and holds up a mirror to the entire Bible in so many ways. And it's about very interesting things. Primarily, it's got a lot to do with animals. Now, I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. Felt good to be out of the rain. In the desert, you can't remember your name, 'cause there ain't no one for to give you no pain. Now, that's a very interesting animal song. Not because it's an animal song per se and we're reading about animals this week, but because you can't think of a horse not having a name. Trigger, Silver, Scout, Seabiscuit, Mr. Ed. It's a given. Horses have names. Well, some think the Bible has no and should have no humor. It's a religious dogma, for God's sake. There's nothing funny about it. Those people are wrong. We are about to read one of the most brilliant pieces of biblical writing, and the one true comic centerpiece of the entire book. And it's about an animal that, by the way, we never do find out its name. Now, this week we actually are reading one of the most fascinating of all the Torah pieces. It's a favorite of many, including me, and it's one that makes people's heads spin. They just can't explain it. There just has to be an explanation for everything, doesn't there? So many parts of it make no sense, such that one part in particular is grouped among the 10 inexplicable things that the ancient rabbis said were simply preordained to creation. Maybe that's the answer for the unexplained. It was preordained. Okay, that's pretty good. And even better, there were only 10 things that fell into that category. Well, this week we read about another non-Israeli who gets a parsha name for themselves. And it's not even a major character in what we are reading. In fact, you hardly even hear about him. Balak. Every time I read this parsha, I think of my old friend, pal. Numbers 22:2. And Moab was very terrified of the people, for they were many. And as Moab loathed the Israelites, and Moab said to the elders of Midian, now this assembly will nibble away everything around us, as the ox nibbles the grass of the field. And Balak, son of Zippor, was king over Moab at the time, and he sent messengers to Balaam, son of Beor, at Pethor, which is on the Euphrates in his people's land, to call him, saying, look, a people has come out of Egypt. Look, it has covered the eye of the land, it's sitting over against me. And so pray, go curse this people for me, for it is mightier than I. Now there's some very interesting things here. Some obvious, some not. Now, the description of Israel as an entity that has covered the eye of the land. These are the exact same words used to describe the locust plague in Exodus 10:5. It's a description that says the people were so great in number that they covered all of the empty space, so there was no space left. And they're eating everything. There's going to be no food left. So it's not enough to call the Israelites locusts. This brings up one of the less obvious statements that refers to human characteristics in general. We still see this to this day, taking the very existence of someone who was different, it seemed to be strong, as a threat, and likening them to vermin, to pests, to plagues. There's this very strange unification of Moab with Midian, and I keep wondering if it was an edit decision done to justify subsequent issues. How does any of that make sense? Look at what we've seen. Moses sought shelter in Midian. His wife Zipporah is a Midianite. His father-in-law Jethro was a priest of Elyon, who was God, the god of up high. and who guided Moses in developing the entire system of judges that was used for over 1,000 years. So this connection of Midian to Moab just doesn't fit the existing narrative. But like I say, perhaps it fits a much later one. But let's move on with the story. It's not about Balak, the king, but about Balaam, the seer, who's called to curse the people. And we see him riding along on his donkey with his boys, just as Abraham and Isaac on the way to the great sacrifice. And here's a biblical fun fact for you. Balaam, son of Beor, is actually described in a plaster inscription from Deir Allah that was discovered in 1967. This gives him the distinction of being the earliest person mentioned in the Bible who was also mentioned in an archaeological source. So if he was real, maybe Donkey, who we're going to be turning our attention to, is real too. Now Balak the king fears this people camped on his land, the children of Israel, the ones described as a plague. They fear them. He hires the seer to curse them. As he says, Numbers 22:6, I know that whom you bless is blessed, and whom you curse is cursed. Well, you know what? This is a reminder of God's words to Abraham from Genesis 12:3. And I will bless those who bless you, and the one who curses you, I will curse, and all the families of the earth shall be blessed in you. I want you to look for multiple references to Abraham in this story, because you're going to see it. Now, this repeat of that quote kind of serves as a bookend to tie the origin to the conclusion. What began with one individual, Abraham, has now become and encompassed a nation, all these people, Israel, and an ever-expanding concept, one that's connected to spirit and its explanation, and not religion and its limitations. God is a concept by which we measure our pain. I'll say it again. God is a concept by which we measure our pain. Well, to some, God is a concept, is pain. And to others, it's a real energy force, is and brings joy and perfection. Talk about full possibility. It's the same dude. But I guess you want to catch on a good day. So Balaam's hired by the king to put a curse on these people. And here's where we again get that this doesn't quite make sense sensation from what you read. Numbers 22:12. And God said to Balaam, you shall not go with them. You shall not curse the people, for it's blessed. Now God's instructions are no cursing these people. He promised Abraham. So Balaam refuses the commission and tells the emissaries no, under any circumstances. Should Balak give me his house full of silver and gold, I could not cross the word of the Lord my God to do either a small thing or a great one. You know, money might be nice, but honor, obedience, loyalty to God is far more valuable. But then we get Numbers 22:20. And God came to Balaam in the night and said to him, if these men have come to call you, rise, go with them. But only the word that I speak to you shall you do. And Balaam rose in the morning, saddled his ass, and he went with the chieftains of Moab. And God's wrath flared because he was going with them. And the Lord's messenger stationed himself on the road as an adversary to him. He was riding his ass, and his two lads were with him. Okay, God says don't go. Then God comes in a dream and says go, but only say what I tell you to. Then God gets angry because Balaam did what he was told to do and went. Now, I wonder if this confusing part is because, as we saw earlier in the Bible, different stories get edited together and no one ever really goes back and fixes it. So Balaam's riding along on the ass or donkey, and suddenly there's a messenger, which we know means angel, standing in the road brandishing a sword. Numbers 22:23. And the ass saw the Lord's messenger stationed in the road, his sword unsheathed in his hand. And the ass swerved from the road, went into the field, and Balaam struck the ass to steer her back to the road. This happens 3 times. We get these great descriptions of it. Very Goldilocks-like here. Then comes the preordained at creation section. Numbers 22-28. And the Lord opened the ass's mouth, and she said to Balaam, "What have I done to you, that you should have struck me these 3 times?" And Balaam said to the ass, "Because you've toyed with me. Had I a sword in my hand, by now I would have killed you." And the ass said to Balaam, "Am I not your ass upon whom you've ridden your whole life till this day? Have I ever been wont to do this to you?" And he said, "No." And the Lord unveiled Balaam's eyes, and he saw the Lord's messenger stationed in the road, his sword unsheathed in his hand, and he prostrated himself and bowed down on his face. How come the first thing out of Balaam's mouth wasn't, "Oh my God, you can talk"? Oh, Wilbur. Now it makes you wonder if these two had any prior conversations. People yakety yak streak and wish time of day, but Mr. Ed will never speak unless he has something to say. A horse is a horse, of course, and no one can talk to a horse, of course. That is, of course, unless the horse is the famous Mr. Ed. Ed had it right. He only spoke to who he wanted, when he wanted. Perhaps more should follow his example. Friends, this is pure comedy. There really is something for everyone in a book serious enough to spark just about every war and hatred that's plagued man for thousands of years. Now, the thematic keyword of this entire episode is to see. Rao. The ass sees the Lord's messenger in the road, while her master, the professional seer, remains blind to the divine emissary until his eyes are unveiled. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. Now, how often are we blind? Some people, like Balak, can stay blind to what's around them or in front of them. People often do not want to see. It is much easier that way. Now, this is also the only talking animal, if one excludes the mythological serpent in the garden story, in the entire Bible. And the early rabbis, sensitive to the anomaly, put the mouth of Balaam's ass on their list of the 10 exceptional items, especially preordained from the time of creation. Balaam then proceeds to bless the people, not curse them, and he does this 3 times also. And he says, "The word that God puts in my mouth, only that will I speak." Well, friends, do you listen to the words that God gives you? Yes, the world's sacred, so is everything in it. Express your gratitude. Light a candle, make a wish, celebrate your life and the lives of those you love. Share your freedom with them. Live free, be free. Honor your freedom, be well, be happy, be blessed. Share and honor the light, and all who live in the light and continue to shine. Continue to send everybody you know goodwill and love. Pray for peace and freedom for everyone. An end to terror and hatred. Remember, friends, we are a community. We learn together, we celebrate each other, we love each other, we share this ride together. Men and women equally, so let's send out love, not fear, send out peace, harmony, goodwill, and healing to all who need it. And please do, learn to forgive and learn to love. Open your hearts. Honor the relationships of your life. Tell those you love that you love them. Take advantage of the time you have. And enjoy the journey, because we take the twists and turns and the patterns that weave through the fabric of our lives in our efforts to grow, to learn, to be, to love. So please do love. Now, bless you all. Have a fantastic week, a week of love and light, a week of peace, a week of miracles. Examine your intentions. Use them to imprint your will on the universe, because we set in motion everything that happens in our lives. It's our intention, our kavanah, our cause, our effect. It's all linked. As I said, you always have time to forgive and be forgiven. You have the knowledge of what's good and bad, so acknowledge what you've done wrong to yourself, to God, and to any person you've wronged, and ask forgiveness. But do so with sincerity, with accountability, with vulnerability. Forgive those you've hurt, as that you learn to be forgiving and compassionate, because the secret of forgiveness, compassion, and peace is in acceptance. Can you accept yourself, other people, and the world just as they are? Can you accept life as it is without trying to control it? If you do, you can experience the peace that acceptance brings. So do not stop your journey. Do not stop moving towards your promised land. Keep on dreaming, keep on being, keep sharing, keep shining, keep teaching. Keep spreading joy and goodwill. Do not follow fear, follow love. It's always there in front of you. And remember to have faith and unwavering adherence to principle, just as I have faith in the principle of love in all of you. Act with purity of heart and mind. Despise none, defraud none, hate none. Cherish all. Honor every child of God, every creature of the earth. May all people know peace in this year. And may you nurture kindness and love everywhere you go. And work to be present. Expand your heart, quiet your mind, because the deepest source of real power lies in consciousness and your ability to be present, to be mindful, to be aware in all of life's circumstances. So make the most of your time in this life. Continue to touch and transform lives around you, because you're never alone, my friends. You're forever blessed and have the ability to bring blessings to everybody you meet. Health, love, and renewal to everybody you come across. We're all energy, and energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed. Your words are your power to transform, to love, to bless. So be generous, bless others, bless yourself, and love with the heart, because we're all part of a much greater whole. Embrace love, not fear, forgiveness, not anger, and be there for someone, because someone will always be there for you, whether you know it or not. And continue to explore faith and belief and what they mean just to you. And never accept shame as a natural state, because whatever you feel, others have felt. Whatever you've experienced, others have too. Share together. We learn together and we help each other, because we are each of us trying to find love and acceptance and support, and we all have, or could have, that special someone in our lives. So find them and tell them what they mean, and remember, you're never alone on your journey to your promised land. Keep forgiving those you need to forgive, and keep asking forgiveness from those you need to ask forgiveness of. And continue to ask why, and continue to honor and elevate the souls and spirits of those who came before you. Light candles for them. Never be afraid to talk to the animals in your life. You never know which will give you all kinds of new insights. If we could talk to the animals, learn their languages, maybe take an animal to grade. We'd study elephant and eagle, buffalo and beagle, alligator, guinea pig and flea. Well, thank you for joining me, my friends. Keep sharing the light. Practice forgiveness. Be thankful, be gracious, be kind, be loving. Believe in yourself. Continue to spread a little goodwill to the world. Continue to be the miracle in somebody's life. Shabbat shalom and blessings to you all. Take care. Thanks.